So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 11th of April. This is the IACT IMDHA Presenters Series, where we are presenting visits with the folks that are doing pre- and post-conference workshops at the IACT IMDHA HypnoExpo 2018 in Daytona Beach. The expo is coming up May 18th, 19th, and 20th, and there are pre- and post-conference programs, as we have already said, before and after that weekend date. We're going to be talking tonight with Anthony DeMarco, who's going to be doing a program on Monday the 21st. His program will be on epigenetics, so make sure if you come to the convention that you plan on staying an extra day so that you can spend some time with Tony and learn about epigenetics. And we'll let him explain all about that in just a little bit. Typically throughout this series, we've had two presenters each evening. But it seems that the presenters that we have at the conference are odd this year. And so, no, I didn't mean that the way that it sounded, okay. But there's an odd number of presenters. And so Anthony is our last one. We're going to be talking with him for about 45 minutes of the program. And then the last half of the program, we're going to recap and talk about some of the presentations we've had before, just to remind you who's going to be there. We're also going to tell you all of the good secrets and wonderful, exciting things that you can expect when you come to the HypnoExpo, and reminisce a little bit about some expos past and just kind of celebrate the community that we are creating together as IACT and as IMDHA. So, so hi, Karen. How are you doing in Chicago?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. And I just want to remind everybody that if you get CEUs for attending tonight, IACT and IMDHA members can get CEUs for tonight. Just go to the site and sign in, say that you spent the time with us, and you'll get all of that time back in the form of CEUs. And that's a wonderful thing. Not only will you learn something tonight and have a good time, you get credit for it as well.
And as we have said, the program is being recorded. So the recording will be posted tomorrow by about noon. It's the best that we can do, and it's always my intention to get it out there as quickly as I can. It will be posted on the IACT IMDHA forum, the Mind Matters forum. For those of you who haven't been going out there, check it out, man. There's some interesting stuff happening on the forum. And it will also be posted on the virtual chapter Facebook group. So if you're not a member of that, you can join Virtual Chapter. It's a group on Facebook, and that keeps you informed of our regular virtual chapter meetings. Karen and I host a virtual chapter, which meets once a month, and we have guest speakers from all over the planet, and it's been really a great success. So last night we talked with our friend Antonio de Zola from Brazil, and he had a lot to say about social marketing. Social network, or what do I say? Using the social media rather as a tool in building business, and it was some really great stuff.
It was fabulous. If you missed it last night, go on the virtual chapter and make time to listen to it, because it really lit a fire under me to start getting more videos out there and start doing some things. And all of the social media, the things that we don't want to miss. There were things I really wasn't even aware of. So give it a listen.
And next month, the virtual chapter is going to have Ken Guzzo as our guest, and Ken is going to be talking with us about conversational hypnosis, and he's really got some clever stuff to share. I saw him recently in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago, and I said, you know, we'd really love to have you on the chapter. So we're looking forward to that one as well. So again, you can see the replays tomorrow. We're getting ready for the convention. I can't think of a whole lot of other things that we need to say before we introduce our guests. You got anything else on your mind, Karen?
I do not. I'm eager to talk epigenetics with Tony, so let's do it.
So let me tell you a little bit about this fella, Anthony DeMarco. Always the best dressed guy in the room. He holds a doctorate in law and a doctorate in humanities, and is the co-founder of the Academy of Professional Hypnosis, the first school of hypnosis approved by the state of New Jersey Department of Education and the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development. And since 1991, he is a member of the board of directors of the Council on Compulsive Gambling of New Jersey, something we're really interested in talking to him about as well, which is funded in the yearly amount of $2 million to maintain the 1-800-GAMBLER helpline to educate the public, senior citizens, and school children about the dangers of problem gambling, as well as to refer patients to treating facilities. He's a member of the C.G. Jung Foundation of New York and incorporates much of Dr. Jung's theories into his own insightful work. Dr. DeMarco is in his 20th year as chairman of the Council of Professional Hypnosis Organizations of the United States and Canada. By the way, I might mention that I am a representative from IACT on COFO, on this organization, and I'm really happy to be there with Anthony. It's a great thing and something that really contributes to the community. And let's see, I lost my place. He's been induced into the International Hypnosis Hall of Fame in 1996. He's a lifetime member of the International Association of Counselors and Therapists. He's a distinguished member of the National Guild of Hypnotists and one of its 4-member board of governors. He is the author of The Regulation of Hypnosis, promulgated by the New Jersey Board of Psychological Examiners in 1994. And he sits on the ethics committee of 3 hypnosis organizations as a major presenter of seminars on addictions, meridian energy, epigenetics, relationships, pain management, hypnosis, weight management, mythology, emotion cleansing, and stress management throughout the United States. And by the way, did we mention that he's also an attorney? So, I understand that he works 7 days a week. I actually think you need to do probably 1 more day a week than that, Anthony. You can't possibly get all that stuff done in 7 days. But with that, I have opened up your microphone and welcome you. We're glad to have you with us tonight.
Thank you very much, Michael and Karen. And I want to thank Robert and Linda also for permitting me to present at the convention. Looking forward to it, as always.
Well, I'm ready to dig right into this one because epigenetics is one of those words that I think the people use on the Scrabble board have got to be cheating. So I wonder if, just to start the discussion, I'm a little curious, some background maybe about how it is that you happened to get there or get into this in the first place, but also if you could just help us understand what is epigenetics? How do you define this?
All right, good. It's a good place to start also. And I became interested in working with my own cells back in 1991. So we're talking 28 years ago, when I attended a workshop of Dr. Bruce Lipton. Probably most of you have heard of Dr. Lipton. He's the author of The Biology of Belief, which encompasses epigenetics. So in 1991, he started showing us slides of how the cells, our cells, communicate with each other. And I was so impressed because the cells were moving. The ones that were closer to the surface of the skin were really vibrating, and the other ones were receiving messages, and they were vibrating, but a little bit less. From that day on, I started speaking to my cells, systems, and organs myself, because if what we do in hypnosis, if what we do when we work with clients, we do not do for ourselves first, then we are missing the point of our healing potentials. Everything that I work with clients, if it pertains to any of my issues or pertains to health, I work with myself first. So for years, 20-some years before I bought his book, The Biology of Belief, I was working with my cells pursuant to what I had learned with him. And then after reading about epigenetics, I really went deeply into it and devoured everything that I could find, all the books that I bought and on the internet about epigenetics. Epi means above or beyond. And so it's going beyond the genes, going beyond genetics. And it's the study of how our genes interface with the environment. Now, the environment is a key word, When I first started working in hypnosis, I considered myself an environmentalist, and I don't mean flowers and nature and so forth. I truly believed that the environment was dictating how we thought, how we acted, and how our lives were lived. And then I read this is all before the epigenetics, before Dr. Bruce Lipton. Then I started reading about when twins were born, if they were separated at birth and went to two different foster parents. And I was specializing in doing my research in addictions. I'm an addiction specialist, drugs, alcohol, compulsive gambling. And I got very, very interested in it and found that if one of the twins lived with foster parents that had no addictions, the chances are they weren't going to develop an addiction, even though one or both of their real parents were addicts. And the other one, if he or she went to a foster home where one of the parents or both of them were addicts of the foster parents, chances are that he or she was going to pick up one of the addictions, not necessarily the same one. And so I believe that the environment was dictating how we live and how we think and how we act. And then it started getting confirmed when I sat in Bruce Lipton's workshop in California in 1991, and it's developed to epigenetics. And I believe that our environment, the outer environment and the inner environment, the one that we create with our perception, that's one of the key words that I'll be talking about when I teach this one-day workshop. Environment's the first one, and perception is the next. That our perception of the environment influences our genes, whether to act or react in a fashion to cause either illness or cause health. And this is the study of epigenetics. What influences? And I think, and these are my personal opinions, I think that a hypnotist is in the best position to work with the genes, even above the other scientists and biologists and medical doctors and so forth, because we create our own psychological environment.
Yeah. So when I say that big hips run in my family, does that mean that I'm making that up in my mind, that it's really a genetic thing? Or
it is a genetic thing. When we get into predisposition, we are born, our genes are predisposed to act or react in a certain way. And if a parent had cancer, we may have a predisposition to have cancer. If a parent was an alcoholic, we may have a predisposition in our genes. Any illness, we could have a predisposition for. But the key is that we do not have to be slaves to our DNA. We do not have to be slaves to the predisposition, because we can prevent the predisposition from kicking in. This is what we do. This is the importance of what we do in epigenetics.
Nice.
And so we can talk ourselves into or out of any kind of illness, I'm hearing you say.
Yes, talk. I go further than that, but yes, we can talk and we can think our way into illness. You've heard of psychosomatic illnesses where people actually caused the real illness. They didn't have it to begin with, but after years of believing, I mean, one of the first cases, it's probably a classical case that we had where the woman, the daughter hated her mother so much that she wanted to die on her 33rd birthday despite her daughter. And sure enough, she did die on her 33rd birthday, and the autopsy can show no apparent reason for her to die. She willed herself to die. She programmed herself to die.
Right.
You can influence your genes. You can influence everything. We've seen it. That's what we do in hypnosis.
That's fascinating. Not only that, it's what fascinates me is you're talking about psychosomatic. We've heard, as you said, we've heard about psychosomatic conditions. It's almost a positive spin on the same idea when you start talking about how the environment actually can influence our genes, because then we could say that this is a psychosomatic correction.
Well, you can't get in trouble by using the word in that context because there's been so much research on placebos now and the placebo effect. In fact, there was a book written about 3 or 4 years ago, I forget the name of the author, about the placebo effect. And
it probably wasn't his real name.
Yeah. Yeah. So what it did was it weighed the effects of the placebo against actual drugs and against herbs. And one such research showed that drugs were 25% effective in working with a certain illness, but the placebo was 32% effective. And you know what this means, guys and gals out there? One of the first tenets that we learn when we study hypnosis, that the subconscious mind accepts everything that it witnesses, not just what it hears, everything that it witnesses from the time of birth and before as being true. So if and I lie to my subconscious mind all the time, and I lie to my clients' subconscious mind. When I tell a 500-pound man that he's thin and getting thinner and thinner every day, I'm lying to him. But if I tell a lie often enough, they start thinking thin, eating thin, becoming thin, and being thin, because the subconscious mind does not question it. So if I tell myself I'm healthy, if I tell myself, but you got to be specific when you're working with your health issues and working with genes. So yes, psychosomatic, placebo, all of this. I tell you what, everything that we do in hypnosis is connected. Everything that we do. It's not just up in the air. It has solid roots, solid foundation in health. And now with the study of epigenetics, everything that we've been proclaiming all of these years as hypnotists is being confirmed through scientific studies.
Absolutely. And Sharon just shared with us, Tony, is the book you're talking about, You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza?
Yes, that's the one. Yes, that's the one. You Are the Placebo. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Just for those.
Yeah, that's the one. I have his book, and there's also a CD that comes along with it. Yes, You Are the Placebo. And we are, because we can lie. We can lie to our subconscious minds.
Right. And the subconscious mind can believe us. Good or
believes
bad.
everything. Believes everything. That's why people can be programmed to die. People can be programmed to become ill. I mean, I don't know much about voodoo, and I'm not making any comments, but I think part of it is people believe that voodoo can make a person ill if it's done in a certain fashion, and it's the it's the nocebo effect, Karen.
Yeah.
Where it's a negative result that is being manifested through the belief of something that's very evil or negative. Yes.
I have some people dear to me. My mother was one, a dear friend just a couple of weeks ago, and others that I won't go into, but who were had cancer. And my mother, as an example, lived through, at 87 years old, lived through a number of surgeries. She lived longer than anybody ever expected her to. And they did a surgery, and afterwards the surgeon said it's time for her to go into hospice. And as soon as she was told that, she died 4 days later because she gave up hope. She just lost. A friend a couple of weeks ago had cancer and was really doing well in some kind of experimental therapy. And they told him they'd have to pull him out of the experimental therapy, and he probably should go ahead and go into hospice. And he died 3 days later, just from almost healthy to death, just because hope was robbed from them. That's what you're talking about with the nocebo.
My partner, he passed away, John Gatto. You've probably, all of you know him that have been around for a while. We were partners for 30 years in hypnosis. He passed away a few months ago. He was accepted in a hospital where he would be able to go and speak to people that were supposed to be terminally ill or very serious illnesses. And he told a story, and I'll always remember it. He said that one woman said to him that she had 2 months or 3 months to live. And he says, well, how do you know you have 2 or 3 months to live? She said, well, I've been told by the doctor. He says, no, you mean God told you. So she said, no, the doctor told me. He says, God told you. She says, no, the doctor. He said, only God knows when you're going to live and when you're going to die. And if you're going to lie in this bed and think that you're going to die in 2 or 3 months, it could surely happen. But you know what? If you tell yourself that you're going to beat the odds and you're going to be able to live longer than they are predicting, chances are that maybe it'll happen. That night, she got her clothes, she called her husband, picked her up, and took her out. And on the phone, he heard her say to the husband, and please make an appointment for me with the beauty parlor. I want to take care of my hair. Changing the psychological environment. I don't know the follow-up. I don't know how long she lived, but that's what happens. People get programmed to die.
Dr. Lissa Rankin, who wrote Mind Over Medicine, did some research into spontaneous remissions. And one of the things she discovered is exactly what you're talking about. One of the interesting things is that about 75 to 80% of patients, when they're ill, start getting better when they make an appointment with the doctor.
Absolutely.
They make the doctor's appointment and they start to get better right there.
Absolutely.
And don't we, Tony, as hypnotists, know that part of the thing is our clients, when we're working with them, they start to get better, or they start to move in the direction of what they want as soon as they make the appointment with us, knowing that
that's what I tell my students. As soon as they make a conscious decision to seek our services, even before they make the phone call, when they're getting ready to they made a decision they're going to call, they start their recovery. They have an altered state of mind right from there. That's right. Dr. Lipton speaks of Dr. Dean Ornish. And Dean Ornish, I was familiar with back in, 89, before he was popular, reading about him on The Bottom Line. And he worked with heart patients. And in those days, you had to wait months to get a room to perform open heart surgery. You're talking almost 40 years ago. And he said, so many of his patients, the plaque disappeared and they didn't need the operation, that he was able to, because they changed their lifestyle, they changed their diet, they changed the way they thought about themselves. And that's 3 or 4 months that they had to wait. There was no need for it. And now he's very, very popular, Dr. Dean Ornish. But this is the psychological environment.
Nice. That
Dr. Lipton speaks of. And this is what I'm going to be teaching about, the psychological environment and how. And it's so important, so extremely important, that you rid a person of the negative feelings and emotions that they have been burdened with since the time of their first memory, that you clear the slate, you neutralize it so that you can then go and put in the positive suggestions and images that we do. There's no sense in just going over the old stuff, because they'll rear their ugly head and destroy all of the work that you're doing, and it's not permanent. When I started studying for drugs and alcohol and compulsive gambling and brainwashing, I knew that I had to strive for permanence. Otherwise, it was not going to be good enough.
Right.
And I still believe this, and this is the way I conduct my practice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so just for those of us who are thick-headed and want to make sure that we absolutely understand, because the theory is magnificent, right? And I really appreciate it, and I love Bruce Lipton, by the way. So specifically in terms of using hypnosis in epigenetics, do we use different? Are you suggesting that we modify our protocols entirely, or how do we use it in hypnosis?
I'm going to tell you what. I'm not suggesting that anybody modifies anything that they do in their practice if it's working.
Yeah.
I have my own beliefs. I have my own protocols.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not see a person just one time unless they commit to see me a certain amount of times. I will not accept them as clients. I mean, a regular run-of-the-mill issue, and maybe 3 times. Imaginary gastric band, maybe 8 times. Addictions could be 13 minimum, or 20 or 30 times. But part of my protocol, included in the first 3 sessions, is the educational aspect in the first session and addressing the issue and so forth, teaching self-hypnosis. But the second session, a must, parts communication, to speak to the psychological part of the individual that's controlling the behavior, our thoughts and so forth. And the third is timeline repair, which I've learned from my good friend Tad James of Hawaii a long, long time ago. He wrote the book called Timeline Therapy. Right. And I don't use the word therapy for 2 reasons. One, he has a trademark. And number 2, in New Jersey, we don't use the word therapy. Right. But I clear all the negative feelings and emotions, and then I'll go plant the good stuff. James Allen wrote a book, As a Man Thinketh, about 100 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, don't plant corn and expect roses to grow. He said, what you put into the subconscious mind will grow. And also, my thought about that is if the soil in your subconscious mind is spoiled by the negative feelings and emotions, it's like having rocks and oil in your garden. Maybe the flowers will grow for a certain period of time, but they'll get smothered or choked by the oil in the rocks. So we got to get rid of them. And how do we do it? Through desensitization with various techniques. My 2 strongest are the parts communication and the timeline repair. But Dr. Carl Jung, and I'm a Jungian, and I studied at the C.G. Jung Foundation in New York. He said you have to expose the demons to light for them to go away.
Yeah.
So we have to bring them up and get rid of them.
Cool. Now, Tony, I had a woman in my office the other day that made me want to change the name of my business from hypnotherapy to I wanted to start calling it a winery because she came into wine and WHO. And so almost everything that I said to her just conversationally before we got going, she had a because and a this and this happened to me and this happened to me back then.
Sure.
Continuing to carry this and the idea of orienting her towards the future was a really interesting challenge because she just so wanted to be sucked back into the negativity of her past. I understand that you have a particular theory about the past and present and the future. I'd like to hear how you think about time.
Well, first of all, we have to address, before you get rid of something, you have to own it. So we have to address everything in the past that could have a detrimental effect on how you live your present and how you live your future. And we know that you create your future in the present. Today, we're creating our future. And with the past, if we just leave it be, we are not going to get the permanence, and we're not going to clear up the psychological environment. We have to program a person positively so that the genes express themselves in a proper fashion. Now, it may sound highfalutin epigenetics in some psychological terms, but I'm not a scientific person. I don't have that in my background. And if I can understand about epigenetics, everyone that's watching this or listening can understand about epigenetics, because everything that can be done could be done in hypnosis. But I'm going to tell you something. I've been around a long time, and Robert and Linda go back a long time with me from the old days at the International Hypnosis Hall of Fame with Penny years and years and years ago. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to work with people and you're going to help people, just don't do things. Think about what you're doing. Look at it. Get a feel for it. Try things out yourself. Have to understand you're not just working with someone bringing money in. You're not just working with a name. You're working with a human being. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to walk in their moccasins in order to help them, but you have to think about everything you do.
Yeah,
I tell you, everything in hypnosis is connected. Everything that I've studied now with epigenetics and everything that I teach has been a part of hypnosis all of these years that I've been practicing. I just didn't know the same labels that they're using on them.
Sure.
Yeah. You talked about
and the time to start is now, and everyone that's listening, now is the time, because there are more marvels that can be worked. More marvels that can be worked with the use of positive thinking, epigenetics for yourself first.
Yes. Yes.
Does that deal with what you're talking about in the flyer with real and imaginary?
I didn't hear you, Karen.
Does that have to do with what you're talking about in your flyer when you mention real and imaginary genes?
Yeah. Because I love it. I love it because here's the thing. Some biologists say there's 28,000 to 120,000 genes in your body, all right? The different types of genes, different names of genes. Others say there's 35,000 to 50,000. There's maybe 80,000 different genes that the names of which doing different things that have not been identified. So you got a whole field to play with. And because what I told you earlier, and because what you know as hypnotists, the subconscious mind believes everything that it's told and everything that it's witnessed, well, we can create our own genes to do what we have to do with it. They're imaginary genes. Our subconscious mind will believe that they're real genes, and we start working with them. You can have happy genes. You can have slim genes. You can have joyful genes. You can have anti-suppressant genes. You can have world peace genes. You can have any gene that you want to name to help yourself and also to help clients if you start working with clients in epigenetics. And I truly believe that those imaginary genes will actually work for you, and that they will become real, the same way as psychosomatic illnesses become real when people start thinking about it, or the nocebo effect that you and I discussed, Karen.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I teach in my classes, I have the students in these epigenetics workshops come up with genes, and I have them list them all the different genes. And I have them list different ways to promote expression of the genes or to prohibit expression of the genes. Because if you have a predisposition, if someone has a predisposition for cancer, I want to be able to keep that gene from expressing itself by spilling the stuff over into the cells. And I use the word stuff, but that's the technical and scientific word that the biologists use. So we don't want the cancer stuff of the gene spilling over into the cell. And how does this happen? This happens with something that you and I deal with every day with clients and with ourselves also. The cells have a protective sort of attachment called the methyl attachment. It's like a shield. And when something attacks us, and that something is stress, when stress attacks us, it starts affecting the methyl attachment. The methyl attachment starts getting weaker and weaker, and then the walls of the cells get thinner and thinner, and that stuff of cancer seeps out of the genes into the cells, and the person does get full-fledged cancer. So if we can work with a person's stress and alleviate and eliminate it, we are fortifying their cells so that they don't have that gene express itself with the cancer. And then I carried it further. If we can prevent the methyl attachment from opening up on bad cells and bad genes, we can do with the imaginary ones, with the good ones, anti-abuse genes, joyful genes, we can have that cell open up and accept all of the good stuff. So This is all that we do with hypnosis, and I do it for myself. I tell you, I practice what I preach. In fact, I want to let you know, Karen, I'm 20 years younger than the years I've been on Earth, and I truly believe that because I work with energy and I work with my genes, and I've been doing it a long time. So the years that I've been on Earth are they don't tell you my age because I am 20 years younger, or maybe more, maybe more than 20 years younger. Yeah. And I believe we can work with ourselves with anti-aging because I have activated my anti-aging genes a long time ago.
Yeah, I believe that completely. We have a question here from Dr. Bob. Is there any evidence that hypnosis can prevent the deleterious changes to methyl attachments? He wants to know.
Well, there's been a lot of scientific research, and Dr. Bruce Lipton has had his own research in labs where he has separated the stuff of the genes and put a different environment into the petri plate, and the cells started growing bones in others' eyes and so forth. And he said in his research that the medium, the culture medium in the human being is the blood. And when we create the environment, good or bad, the blood picks up on and communicates that to our cells and to our genes, all right? And insofar as, I tell you, Bob, any research is still anecdotal, the same way that they treat the research that we do. We have research when we work with clients and we get good results. The medical community, the scientific community, they don't want to accept the anecdotal results. And so if I worked with someone with epigenetics and spoke about having the methyl attachment strong and not being worn down, and it works, and the person lives and lives and lives and lives, the medical community is not going to accept that. So I don't know, any other research, any other scientific research.
Okay. They might call it a miracle, but there's no research on that either, really.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. But you know what? And it's the same story over and over again. We've been through this from so many years in hypnosis about the anecdotal aspects of it. And we're poo-pooed, except that not so much anymore. Not so much.
Okay, they're putting your feet to the fire now, Tony, because they want some actual evidence. Give us an example of how you're using this for yourself.
I speak to my cell systems and organs every day. When certain parts of my body, I feel a little bit weak and so forth, I dream up a gene and I release all of the good stuff into the gene to the affected area. Right now, I have my back, I must have gotten a pinched nerve, and I have sciatica in both legs, and my left knee is extremely uncomfortable. I had MRIs and so forth, and I'm fine. But what I'm doing is every day I'm working with my genes to promote healing. I have sciatica healing genes that I created, and I'm working with them. I imagine the gene flooding out good health into the cells that are in my leg and my knee. Did it happen yet? I've been doing this for 2 months, but I tell you what, lately, the last few days, I've had an hour or two without pain, and I said to my wife, something's happening. It seems like it's lifting. Is anyone going to believe this in the medical community? No, but I do use it myself, and this is one of the ways I use it.
Is that hypercommunication?
No, yeah, hypercommunication. Yeah, it's some. We can talk to our bodies. We can talk to our bodies, and you know what I think of hypercommunication? Like when animals sense a fire 200 miles away and they start running because they know it's heading towards them. Or if an ape, and you've read of that woman who worked with the apes, where the ape mother was sitting by the shore for 3.5, 4 days waiting for her daughter to come home because she was be able to hyper communicate with that. And now, Today I was at an endocrinologist earlier in the morning. Today, and I was speaking. He was Asian, and I spoke to him, and we were talking about epigenetics. And he knows I'm presenting tonight. And he said, he said, how about the monks? He says that they sit and meditate. He said, and they'll walk out in 0 weather or 20-degree weather and at -20, and they can elevate their temperature so that the cold doesn't affect them. This is hypercommunication, where they're communicating with various parts of their body.
We knew how to do that when we were children. We didn't even think about it. We could stay outside in a snowstorm and play all day and never feel the cold because we were having so much fun.
Well, I tell you, a long time ago in college, Dr. Hertz, his name was, when I was studying German, he was a very strong German man. He would walk out just with a cape and a light shirt in the winter. And I was walking next to him and I tensed up. I gritted my fingers and I made fists out of them. He said, Mr. DeMarco, don't do that. I said, what? He said, you're bringing the bones closer to the skin. He said, never flex. He says, don't tighten up and you'll be able to withstand the cold. And from that time on, for all of these years, I don't flex when I'm in the cold. So I don't know if it's hypercommunication or not, but it works. It works.
Who cares? We go with what works, right?
Yeah, it works.
So, by the way, you were talking about aging, the aging process before, and we didn't go quite as far with that as I wanted because I understand that there's something that you refer to as the super ager.
Super agers, yes.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. I read some about people in their 80s and above, and their minds are as sharp as people of 30 or 40 or 50 years old, where they can think quickly. Their memories are sharp. They can do math. There's others I just watched the other day. A man or a woman, 101 years old, was in a race with other 80, 90, and 100-year-old people, and they're super agers. And I truly believe, Michael, that they become super agers because of their attitude, their positive thinking, not necessarily that they've taken care of themselves physically all the time, but psychologically they did. How many super agers, how many older people have you heard say, geez, I love my 1 shot or 2 shots of whiskey a day or something?
Yeah.
You've heard them say that, all right? But I think that it's more psychological than it is physical. And I go back and maybe 30, 40 years ago, I read about the woman, she was an author in Hawaii. She got run over while she was on the road, and she broke maybe 20, 30 bones in her body. She was in a bodysuit, and they said that she would never walk properly or walk again, and she'd be in the bodysuit for a year. And she was sitting on the balcony of her home on the beach, and every day she would imagine that she was getting out of the bodysuit, getting onto the beach, walking on the beach, and then starting to walk a little faster and running. And within 3 or 4 months, she was out of the body cast. She was walking great, and they just were amazed. It was all psychological. She did it herself. And look at this beautiful background of you that you have now down in Florida. My wife and I enjoy this hotel so much. We love the pools. The people are so friendly. And all of you guys, not just with this convention, a lot of good conventions where we're all of a like mind and we feel good, you know, and we stimulate each other. Mm-hmm. And we let's enjoy it while we can. I mean, our good friend Michael Elner passing away, you know, he and I started together. He was in New York City. I was a few miles away. And so let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy this convention.
Anthony, in fact, I'm glad that you mentioned Michael Elner. I meant at the top of the hour to mention it because today is Michael Elner's birthday.
Yes, I saw that. I saw it, and I said it's funny they still have it on Facebook. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and in fact, there are people celebrating all over. There's a whole lot of folks posting things about Michael today and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's good to for all of us to give a shout out to our great friend and and appreciate what it is that he's contributed and
absolutely.
And it served to encourage us to to get down there and to really enjoy ourselves and really enjoy the community. There's nothing better than once a year getting together with the family, and this really has become, I don't know how many I've been to now, but this is before the autos, I started coming to IACT. And so year after year after year, and sometimes this is the one shot that we have to see certain people that we really have developed great relationships with. So
yeah, I started with Jillian when I'm a lifetime member. I joined at that time, but with Michael Elner and I, we go back. We started together, and he was in New York City. I was in Jersey, and one time he invited me over. He was the president of HEAL. Health Education AIDS Liaison of New York. And he invited me over. This was 25 years ago or longer, where they had an AIDS workshop. And the doctor who had discovered AIDS was there to say it wasn't the killer disease that he had thought it was, because if you change your lifestyle, the way you think and so forth, you have a chance of overcoming it. And so Michael and I went, we go back a long, long time. And it was a sad passing.
So back to the topic here for a minute. We're almost done. We're almost done and need to move on with some other stuff. But I don't want to let you go without bringing this up. And I hope you don't mind, Anthony. It's not a question that you previewed with me or anything. But I'm curious about this, and it's a little bit concerning to me. So I think because you've got the experience, you're the guy that should be able to answer it. We have, through the last couple of decades, been looking at genetic basis for so many things, including sexuality. So now there's this whole issue about conversion therapy and stuff like that with gay people. One of the things that it seems like is implied in your notion of epigenetics, and I don't disagree with you, is that if in fact sexuality is something that's determined genetically. One of the things that's suggested here is that there is the opportunity to make some adjustments in it, and along with that, there's the serious question about, oh my God, is that ecological? Is that treading in some dangerous territory? Or because I can see some remarkable things happening, but as you've already pointed out, the psychological environment tends to produce so much. Now it sounds like that we're actually coming to a place where we're learning how to make changes in genetics. And so my ecological question is, how do we determine when it's appropriate to make those changes and when it is not?
It's a very good question. It's a very deep question. And I'm probably not a good person to answer it, but you know what it relates to? How I read the other day about one movie actress cloning her dog so that she could have a dog exactly alike, and people talking about cloning human beings to be alike, and yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I think we can go too far afield and we can step into God's territory. And yeah. I just don't know. Conversion, you mentioned that conversion therapy, I probably do not agree with it. And I have never accepted a case from a gay person where someone else wanted that person to change, and I have never worked with someone like that. I just, for a few reasons, I don't think I was qualified. I don't think it was too heavy for me, and I didn't know enough about. Yeah. So look, there are possibilities for anything, and I imagine if a person really, he or she himself wanted to change the way he or she believes about sex, then I think we can do it. I think we could do it.
Sure.
But it's just the same as if a person comes to you to quit smoking and they don't really want to quit smoking. It's not our job to make them do it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
But you can't do it for someone else. You have to work with the individual. And whatever, you have to determine what is good for the individual or what isn't good.
Well,
So
or they have to determine what's good.
They have to. When I met you, you have to through your conversation. So, Mike, there's
I appreciate
possibility. I'm not, I always tell my students this, and I truly believe this. As human beings, our frames of references are so limited.
Yes.
And this is the universe, and this is our mind. We really don't know the gifts from God that we have.
Yes.
But anything that's worked for the good, I'm for.
Well, and yes, and so epigenetics, by the way, within hypnosis, hopefully is in the hands of practitioners who govern themselves by a code of ethics, who are operating ecologically, and who are interested in delivering to their clients what it is that their clients are asking for, rather than imposing unwanted changes on people. So
no imposition, no.
Yeah, and this is what I think is beautiful about associations and about people who get together and come to consensus and agreement about just such things, and create, as all of the organizations have, some kind of code of ethics and how it is that we behave responsibly to our clients. And within that, you have got some great stuff here, Anthony. So I just want to remind everybody that that this is a one-day program. And Anthony's going to, if I understood you right, you're going to give people all the information that they need. You're going to give them.
I'm going to go further than information. I'm going to give a couple of solid scripts to back up what I'm talking about here today with the timeline repair. I have this script in my programs that I sell for $1,300. I'm going to give this in this one-day workshop.
Absolutely
Robert
great.
And Linda twisted my arm and they say, you better give him that script. And so I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the tools to work with.
It's worth it. I've taken timeline repair work with Tony before in a workshop before, and it is worth it.
Yes, Karen. Yes.
Right there.
All right. Okay. Well, gosh, Tony, we really appreciate what you have shared with us today, and that you are here to be our guest. Now, I'm doing things a little bit out of order because usually we're interviewing somebody all the way up until the very end. So what I'm going to do is something that we usually reserve for the end, just because I want you to really be able to hear and appreciate it, Tony. We love you. We love what you shared with us. And what we do now is we're going to open up everybody's microphones. So for a minute, it's just going to be absolute sheer chaos, but an opportunity for everybody to let you know how much they appreciate you and that you are talking to us tonight. So I'm going to unmute the microphones now.
And of course, you're welcome to stick around, Tony, because we're going to hang out for a while.
Awesome presentation.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job. Looking forward to seeing you.
Stay young, Tony.
God willing.
Oops. Oh, sorry, Tony. I didn't mean to. I just cut your microphone off. I'm sorry. There you go. You're open now.
God willing. Yes.
So yeah, thanks again. So now Karen and I are going to talk about a few things relative to the conference, and we hope you'll hang around with us for a while, Anthony, and
sure.
and those of you who are online, some of you have probably been to the HypnoExpo before. For some of you, it might be a first time experience. So we'd love to hear anything that you all have to share about that. I just want to remind you, the thing that is most important in my mind right now is this lovely view behind me.
Yes.
that we are talking about, gathering together with some of the finest people that I know in one of the most beautiful places that we could possibly be, at one of the best times of the year to be there, and sharing about something that we all love, that is hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And whatever else might interest us during the course of the weekend and the few extra days that we are there. So Karen, why don't we? You were there last year. I'm just curious to hear from you. What's your favorite thing about this?
Well, I got to tell you, you and Tony have been with this conference for years and years and years, and I'm sure other people on the call have been with this conference for a long time. Last year was my first year to go to an IACT conference, and I fell in love with the people. I have never felt so welcome. You talked about it as a family, Michael, and I feel like family with Robert and Linda and IACT and the whole group. I just think it's a friendly, intimate, wonderful conference. You get time to really hang out with people, and you get 2 great pools. I mean, and the ocean.
Yeah.
What do you,
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's something that I say every year and probably several times a year, so I think people have already heard me say it, but I've got to remind you, you can go to other hypnosis conventions, and other hypnosis conventions at some point are going to have you sitting in a room somewhere while someone asks you to close your eyes and imagine that you're on a beautiful beach. We don't really do that in Daytona.
You don't need to.
It doesn't
outside.
doesn't seem to be necessary. Yeah.
But here, you asked me one of my favorite things. I mean, there's a lot of favorite things that I could bring up. I'll bring up my necklace for one thing. You know, the exhibitors there, they're not only do you get great training materials, but I got this lovely necklace at the IACT conference last year. One of the
there
exhibitors.
you go. Look at that eye.
Yeah, I love that.
Eye.
Yes, look me in the eye. My eyes are up here. I loved last year hanging out at the fire pit and roasting marshmallows with Melissa Tears and her daughter and other people. And by the way, Melissa brings her own vegan marshmallows, just so you know. Just interesting things like that, hanging out, having a drink with Michael, and meeting all sorts of different people, and it's small. I mean, it's close in, it's intimate. There's a breakfast room every morning where you can have bagels and great fresh toast and things like that, and all kinds of great fun stuff that goes along throughout the day. So it's just a really good time and some really impressive learning all at the same time. As a matter of fact, Michael, we ought to, before we forget to do it, we ought to run down, because we've been spending a lot of time talking about the presenters and that kind of thing. We ought to run down the presenters. What are you showing me?
Well, we will run down the presenters. In fact, we can do it right after this, because you mentioned Friday night. I just want to point out that there is this lovely reception out here on this very deck that is behind me now.
Yes.
And it's where the marshmallow roasting has taken place in the past. And there is a no-host cocktails reception, and there will be some refreshments available there. So
more than just marshmallows, I think there's s'mores. You can make entire s'mores, and there's the beautiful fresh fruit and crudités and that kind of thing. So.
And by the way, also Friday night, just because we're on Friday night now, is afterwards, after the outside thing, there's this, oh, by the way, a lovely band outside, reggae music, steel drums, and all that you can expect. And then at 9:30, Peter Blum is doing his Sounds for Healing meditation in another room in the hotel with his singing bowls and all of that stuff, which is just a great concert that people love every year. So we get it going right away the first night that we're there. We're not gonna wait around for some later event. And that's always great fun. And then, as you said, there is the lounge. So after that's all over, there's still time to grab a cocktail or something. Not that I am a drinker, mind you, but conventions bring out the best in me. So there is that, and some of the best conversations, some of the best discoveries, some of the best relationships that I have developed over a glass of wine in that lovely little lounge there at the hotel as well. So.
My closest hypnosis alliances last year at the IACT conference, just because I had the time to sit around and talk with people and really get to know people, and in the classroom and outside the classroom. It's really phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I mean, and a whole lot of great stuff goes on out there in the lobby, right? So there are the rooms where the classes are and stuff, and then there's this lobby. A lot of times when you go to conferences, there's a room somewhere that's a vendor room. And that vendor room tucked away, has a bunch of tables in it, and you can go over there and separate yourself from all the action. We sort of put that stuff all right out front, and that's really great, because you can interact with the vendors, you can interact with each other at the same time in passing, and they don't get cloistered away into a private room.
They're right in the action too.
That's right. That's right. And they always have cool things going on in the lobby.
Right.
Now, and it varies from year to year, but there have been we've had a barista a couple of years, unexpected, just free. So all the Starbucks fanatics amongst us, free coffees and stuff like that being distributed. I'm not sure if they're going to do that this year because they do different things each year. We've had cupcakes. Oh my gosh, I remember the great cupcake table from either last year or the year before that were just special things. We've had a caricature artist that, I'm sorry, actually we had a realistic, lifelike portrait creator that, right, sitting out in the lobby and just doing caricatures for everybody. Also free, a gift from the association to participants at the conference. Gosh, we had a photo booth. I remember, those great old time photo booths that put out a group of pictures, like that. And I believe, as I recall, there were some cowboy hats and things available in order for you to dress it up in any way that you might like. So
a Robert De Niro impersonator walking around amongst the crowd.
Yeah, and he got no respect. Wait, no, that's his Rodney Dangerfield.
That's Rodney Dangerfield, right? He may show up this year. You never know.
Yeah, so certainly great activities like that. And you mentioned the breakfast room already. So every morning, there's this lovely opportunity to get a croissant or some pastries or a Danish or something like that, and coffee and tea and all that stuff to start off the day. And oh my gosh, unlike the other conferences, you have a refrigerator, a full refrigerator, a stove, a sink
in your room.
So people can have what they want up there, and grocery stores right across the street. So especially lovely thing about this conference.
Plus, on Saturday and Sunday, there are two special lunches, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. And let's see, is it Richard Nongard and who else is? Sean Michael Andrews. Mm-hmm. I believe Richard Nongard on Saturday and Sean Michael Andrews on Sunday, where you can have a lunch, sort of a lunch and learn kind of event. And somebody says, how much are the rooms? At the hotel? Is that what you're asking, Jackie? Just give me a nod of the head if that's what you're asking. Yeah, thank you. See how well that works? I don't recall. Do you, Michael, specifically remember how much the rooms are?
I'm embarrassed to say that no, this is not a piece of data that I have right in front of me. I know that I think that the rate was right around $100.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable. And you can get an ocean view or you can get a different side view. So it kind of depends on how much you want to spend. But I definitely got an ocean view, and it was not outrageously expensive. It certainly wasn't as expensive as some of the other conferences I have been to, if that helps.
Absolutely true. Absolutely correct. Yeah, so you were talking about those lunches. We kind of veered off because one of the things about the lunches to mention is that those are extra deals. So you
it's a $25 charge, I think, for the lunch.
Is how much?
I think it's $25 extra to go to the lunch.
Yeah. So, and by the way, and if you go buy lunch somewhere, you're going to spend money for it. So,
right, you're going to eat anyway. So,
Richard. So Richard is going to be talking at his networking luncheon on Saturday, Richard Nongard, about automated and recorded hypnosis. So you can have a nice, pleasant lunch and learn something about that. And then on Sunday, the networking lunch is Sean Michael Andrews. And I love this, by the way, because ever since we were looking at these titles earlier today, Karen, I have just been entirely focused on this particular one, and I can't get it out of my mind.
And I'm guessing it's because it's called Don't Fixate on Fixation.
That is exactly what it's called. And I'm not quite sure what to do with that because my unconscious mind, of course, doesn't really understand don't. And
right. You've been fixated all day.
I'm fixated now. So that'll be a lovely networking luncheon, and Sean Michael Andrews, for those of you who don't know him, is always a delight, and for those who do know him well, he's a pretty decent guy. he is always a delight. So it'll be great fun.
And both of them are great guys to hang out with. And I attended a couple last year and found that it was delightful. Not only was it a decent lunch, but it was fun. I went to one with Jason Lynette last year, and it was a great learning opportunity. a great learning, an extra learning opportunity. So there you go.
Oh, and there's something else that we absolutely have got to mention. I just cannot forget about this. I've got to remind everybody, it's in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Did I mention that before? We have this beautiful beach and swimming pools and and all of that kind of stuff. So you sure want to be there for that. Maybe I've been there before. I'm not certain, but
you see the little umbrella stand or whatever it is right behind Michael. That is the outside bar, and there's a lot of gathering around that place that occurs too. Not the umbrella right behind you, but down past the swimming pool.
Yes, yeah, and great music out there as well.
That's right.
So all right, so you mentioned you started, and I didn't let you go there just yet. So now I think it's appropriate for me to encourage you to let's talk about who's gonna be here and remind everybody what all we got. We've got these great programs coming up.
There are classes all day long and things to do, but there are of course some special workshops, and that's what this series has been all about, is looking at the special workshops and presenter series that will go on at the conference. And we started out this whole series talking with George Bien. And Michael, you have known George for years. Anthony brought him up even earlier in the conversation. He has been around for a long time. I just discovered, as we talked to him on this presenter series, that he was actually a musician before he became a hypnotist.
Yeah.
He didn't play trombone, right? Do you remember what he played?
He plays guitar, I think.
Oh, guitar. Okay.
Yeah.
And now he's gone through that phase of his life. That was a past life in the present. But now he is the master trainer and certification trainer for IACT. So he will be doing those 5-day session, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday and Tuesday. So 2 days before, then the Friday, and the Monday and Tuesday after.
Yeah, so some people are going to have to suffer through an extra 5 days at the beach. Which, did I mention it was on the beach? So just remember that.
And of course, you can come early and stay late, even if you're not taking something. So you don't have to suffer through it if you don't want to.
Well, I don't even feel like I need to take something when I go to the beach. Great.
Well, there you go.
And then so we talked to George. We talked to Roy Hunter, who, by the way, Roy is somebody that I met when the internet wasn't even hardly recognizable by what it is today, and we were actually typing like Jumping Jack Flash, if some of you remember that old movie, at a DOS prompt back and forth, and there were what do they call them, bulletin boards and stuff like that. It was a whole different world,
right.
And gosh, that's been so long ago, but it seems like I've known Roy probably ever since there was hypnosis, and the trance still continues. So a lot of people have experienced Roy. I think one of the first books that I had, maybe not the first, but one of the very first books that I had was The Art of Hypnosis. In fact, I actually got it through that internet group as a Microsoft Word file that Roy sent to me. I remember waiting for the 15 minutes or something that it took to download this one document back in those days on our old modems and all that stuff. But it was so exciting. And of course, the art of hypnosis, the art of hypnotherapy, and then now parts therapy. And parts therapy is what Roy is presenting at this conference on Wednesday and Thursday, the 16th and 17th. And then becoming a parts therapy trainer on the 21st and the 22nd. So you can either do the parts therapy work the weekend before or the 2 days before the conference, or if you've already done that, you can also become a parts therapy trainer, and that training is the 2 days after the conference. So there's a really great thing to look forward to.
I think I've done all of Roy's trainings. And as a matter of fact, when we talked to Roy, he said, well, you are already a parts therapy trainer, aren't you? You've done all my trainings. So I think I might have to capitalize on that. We talked to Sherry Gilbert, who's going to do a 1 day on Friday, moving from scripted sessions to transpersonal sessions. And really, that's deep into my heart, because I love transpersonal sessions and interacting with clients rather than just reading to them or scripting at them. And so Sherry's going to be offering some tips on how to do those transpersonal sessions, or interactive hypnosis is what I like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I guess the official term may be transpersonal hypnosis, but that's what it's all about, is interacting with your client.
Yeah, exactly right. So, and then Bruce Eimer. So, by the way, if you're going to go to a hypnosis convention, if you think about this, there is this opportunity, without taking another trip at another time of the year and going to another hotel and, and all of that stuff, to add to your weekend experience one or another of these trainings that really will further your work along. So whether it's learning how to do parts therapy, for example, or to become a trainer, as these things, as both George and Roy's programs offer the opportunity, or whether it's about becoming more transpersonal and getting away from scripts, or whether it's about chronic pain. One of the big things in hypnosis, right? We've got pain control, we've got weight loss, we've got smoking. These are the things, particularly for folks that are newer in the field, to really take a little extra time out to focus in on one of those topics that they'd really like to specialize in and to hone their skills. So Bruce Eimer's is a 2-day program, May 16th and 17th. He's written a lovely book about pain control. I'm sorry, I wish I had it right here to hold up to you. It's sitting on the table in my other room where I was looking at it again earlier today. But if you look up Bruce Eimer, E-I-M-E-R, on Amazon, I'm sure you can find these books. And great stuff. And Bruce, by the way, has also worked quite a bit with Roy Hunter, and they've developed some stuff together as well, and gotten acceptance for CEUs and things for licensed psychologists that weren't available before, at least in certain places. And they're really helping us bridge into those other communities.
And nurses and other medical personnel also get CEUs.
So we were talking about all the things that you can add to your practice, and look what's next. We've got
Sheila Granger with, the weight loss masterclass. And of course, you probably know Sheila as the virtual gastric band expert. But in this training, she also does, not only will you learn the virtual gastric band protocol, but she'll also talk to you about becoming the weight loss expert in your market and how to market yourself as the weight loss expert. And of course, one of the reasons weight loss is a mainstay for us as hypnotists is because people who are on a quest to lose weight are already very schooled in paying for that kind of coaching. They'll pay for a Weight Watchers membership, or they'll pay for a Nutrisystems membership, or they'll pay for a personal trainer. That's the kind of thing that really is associated with a payment plan or multiple session plan, which of course you need for weight loss. And so paying for hypnosis to do that, and hypnosis is now recognized as one of the things that helps with weight loss. So this is a great thing to add to your toolbox.
And if pain and weight are not enough, hold your horses, because then the next thing that we have is a 2-day course that Dr. Quitai is bringing on hypnotherapy for trauma.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that hypnotists come up with from time to time, or up against from time to time, and what a lovely thing, again, to have a 2-day program. I like to think every year about, I like to look over this list and think, what is it that I really want to add to my toolbox? What are, what are the new choices available, and who are presenting them? And then,
Quitai's is right after the conference. Hers is the Monday and Tuesday after the conference.
That's right. It's Monday and Tuesday, May 21st and 22nd.
Yeah.
And then what do we got going on after that?
Well, I have on my list, I made my own list, Richard Nongard, Techniques of Contextual Hypnotherapy. And I just think Richard's fascinating. You can have that lunch with him, and you can also do the training on Friday with him. I think he's fascinating. He really is a believer that the induction is not something that you just need to get through. The induction is also part of the whole process, and his contextual induction is a training course in and of itself, in that you train the client as you're inducing them into hypnosis about mindfulness and the use of mindfulness. So he'll be talking about that on Friday.
Mindfulness and cognitive behavioral technology as well is a part of this. And it looks like it's going to be some real special stuff. So something we'll not want to leave out.
We definitely don't want to miss out the Thursday before the conference starts. We have an exceptional presenter on that Thursday. You'll want to come a day ahead because he is a phenomenal presenter. He's a really funny guy, and he's a great teacher. He's going to do something on evolutionary hypnosis. His name is Michael Watson.
Oh my God!
Is that a big enough build-up?
And that's more than enough build-up because this evolutionary hypnosis program has itself evolved over the years. And just as a little pitch, the basis of it is the idea. I really believe that when life isn't going the way that it should, when we are not operating at our best selves, it's because there are parts of us that are really not getting expression. And I have the sense that there is at the center of our being an emerging self, an evolving self that is looking for a way to find expression and to come forward into the world. So evolutionary hypnosis is about tapping into what's next for you, among other things. And of course, it also applies to all the work that we do, and the nature of the hypnotic relationship is an important part. So we're just going to spend a day together talking about how to really develop that hypnotic connection with the clients that you work with, and eliciting from them, as opposed to the idea of somebody's given me a symptom, and so I'm going to take some ideas that I think will fix that and put them into their heads. We really want to be able to draw it out of our clients. The world is changing. Hypnosis is changing. The clients that we work with are changing. Milton Erickson and Dave Ellman never saw a 21st century client. And so we need to start thinking about how do we need to relate to our clients and make adjustments that are appropriate for the days and times that we live in.
And you know that he's an expert. You can tell that I'm a big fan, but he's an expert because it is Michael who spearheaded this evolution of group hypnosis. Because we are all here because Michael put some time and effort into evolving the whole training thing from a phone call. When I first became acquainted with you, I think it was just a phone hookup, and then it's evolved into this Zoom session, and now we've evolved it into training. So I think we've got the expert right here at this conference on Thursday in Michael Watson.
And in a format like this, people like Jackie, for example, can bring their dog along.
That's right. And we get to see.
we get to see. That's exactly right. Yeah, thanks for that.
We talked about some of the mainstays of hypnosis, of course, weight loss and pain management and smoking cessation. And Don Pellis will be doing on Thursday, the day before the conference, he'll be doing acing smoking cessation. Now, in the brochure, it says acing smoking. He's not going to teach you how to do it or how to inhale. He is going to teach you how to really get down path to smoking cessation.
How to inhale. So we could have sent Bill Clinton to that course.
Yes.
And I understand, actually, because every time I smoke, I cough. So I thought that if there was a way for me to ace that, that would be great. But this is actually about quitting smoking. And Don brings really a wealth of experience to this. I'm sure folks that have been to the conference before have probably gotten to know him. He's really a gentle soul and a lovely, caring therapist who really has got some good stuff together, and he's very meticulous about the work that he does. He's also a core transformation trainer, which is something that I do as well, and I'm real partial to the way that he handles himself in that work. So I think this is going to be a great program. So again, weight loss, trauma, smoking, all of the kind of things that, and evolution, of course, all of the kind of things that, that people will want to add to their toolboxes are all right here. Except the only thing is, if you get your mind going just too much and get too busy with all of those various things, sometimes it's hard to stop in the name of love and listen to Karen Hand's presentation, which is a one-day course called Stop, Look, and Listen, which is about maximizing client success.
And it really is having a look at the all-important pre-talk and the ways to create change from the get-go, so that you're developing that rapport from the very first contact, whether they see your website or see your ad or whatever it is, the phone conversation that you have, and then when they walk into your office, starting that reframing and starting to collect information. leaving your ego at the door, leaving your views of the world, your map of the world at the door, and really focusing in, zoning in on your client, looking at them, listening to them, putting together what they're gathering information about their limiting beliefs and their strategies and their motivations, and helping them. This is also a way of gathering the script so that you don't have to prepare a script ahead of time. You're getting that script as you're talking to your client. They're giving you their words. You're going to discover how to create personal transwords, not create, but elicit their metaphors and their personal transwords that you then use in the script with them later on as you do the process.
Yeah, Dr. Erickson says that hypnosis is a relationship. And this is one of those things that I think is really crucial here is focusing in on the hypnotic relationship itself and really being able to develop the quality of rapport that's going to enable people to make the changes that they need to make. And if instead what it is you come into a session with all of the ideas that like I suggested earlier, you're going to put in somebody's head, they may as well not be there,
Right.
You could
record it. Go to Richard Mongard's How to Record Processes and just record it ahead of time and send him a $25 tape. But if you're going to actually meet with them, you might as well dance with them. And that's why I call it a hypnotic dance.
Yes, lovely.
Yeah.
All right.
We've got Melissa Tears also on Friday. Practical neuroscience proven strategies to rewire the brain. And of course, Melissa is always fabulous. One of the great things that she's going to do in that session is talk about there's more than one brain that we need to be aware of. It's not just this one. She's going to talk about a couple of other brains, and I'm not going to tip you off too much. You're going to have to go to that if you want to learn about that. I shouldn't plug her too much. We're up against each other, but of course, it's all great information. So more than one brain that we need to be aware of. The practical neuroscience proven strategies to rewire the brain. That's Friday with Melissa Tears.
That's right. And then again on Friday, Peter Blum. We mentioned the Healing Bowl program that he's doing, Friday evening for everybody. That's part of the conference. But he's also doing a one-day course on sound healing for hypnotherapists, or for hypnotists rather. And, that's truly a special thing and a remarkable adventure to be able to spend the day with one of my favorite folks out there. He's again, really a caring guy, lives in Woodstock, and I mean the real Woodstock, probably been there ever since. And,
right.
and we really do appreciate him and all of the wisdom that he channels and brings to us. So that's one to look forward to.
Yes, I'm going to take this next one, Michael, because I think I have a little more expertise on this one than do you.
Yes.
Helen Ford will be talking on Friday about menopause specialist hypnotherapy.
I don't know nothing about that.
She'll be talking about how to deal with those symptoms and how to deal with hot flashes. Now, in this country, we call them hot flashes. It's adorable to listen to Helen talk about it because she's British and she calls them, over there, they call them hot flushes, and how to deal with those hot flushes and other elements of menopause. Now, guys in the audience tonight, please don't blush and get, oh God, I don't want to deal with that. I know about guys, but look, here's a reason to learn this kind of stuff. Because if you have a client, a woman of a certain age, let's just say, who comes into your office to lose weight and she's with you for an extended period of time, or to stop smoking, or to de-stress, or anything else, and she happens to mention, oh, I've got hot flashes, why not do something about that? Why not know something about that and help her with that too? Don't you think that'll bring some referrals to you? Or at least help the client, as Roy Hunter would say, deal with what presents. And so if that's what presents, wouldn't it be nice to know something about that? Ladies and guys both. So that's a reason that even guys who might be blushing might want to be interested in taking that.
Yeah. And then after that, we've got on Monday, by the way, that's on Friday. So that's before the weekend, before the Saturday and Sunday. Well, no, Friday. It's all day Friday. So there are other programs going on Friday at the same time. I might point that out just to make sure that you're aware. And then on Monday, Cheryl Ellman, the Cheryl Ellman of the Ellman fame, is going to be presenting the Goulding Sleep Talk program, training level 1. and
Yep.
actually further certification that you can get in this sleep talk program as well, that follows up behind this with some online material. But there's enough in this course to be able to actually go out and operate as an intern with the sleep talk method, which typically involves working with parents of children and teaching them how to talk with them in their sleep. And it occurs to me, as it did on the call, that there's also certainly room for this. You can even talk to grown-ups in their sleep, because how do you know how old they are if they're dreaming?
Well, that's true. You could. And it was at the IACT conference last year that Cheryl and I put together a deal. I've known Cheryl for years, but it was at IACT that we really started talking about sleep talk. And I took some training with her on sleep talk and worked with several parents now who are really giving me remarkable feedback. I just had a call this morning, a check-in call with one of the parents, and her little 6-year-old son was quite timid, afraid of being judged, and really got anxious about doing certain things. And after we did the first round of sleep talk, she started noticing some improvement. But we moved into the second level of sleep talk, and within 4 days, after laying a great foundation for this child, within 4 days, he was able to walk into a tournament and get a new belt in karate or taekwondo, I think is what he does, taekwondo. And he was able to, for the first time, let go of his mom's hand and walk in there like a little man and just do it without anxiety. That was after, on the second level of sleep talk, with her talking to him in his sleep and improving his confidence. So it really is, I'm discovering, a very remarkable tool.
Nice. So, and then there's one left.
Yes.
And you all heard everything that he had to say tonight, didn't you? That was Anthony DeMarco.
He's doing his on Monday, Epigenetics and Hypnosis, Hypnogenes.
So if you want to add that to your toolbox and be able to assist people at influencing themselves on a genetic level. I really love that he talked about Bruce Lipton, by the way. One of my favorite experiences and aha moments, I think, came a number of years ago from being in a hypnosis group where somebody brought in the Biology of Belief, the video, and we just saw a video presentation. So if you guys don't know about Bruce Lipton yet, I might mention that you take a trip out to YouTube land or wherever it is that you go, or at least Google and call up Bruce Lipton and see what you find. There's some great material, and it'll just make the work that Anthony is offering that much more enticing to you. So I hope you'll see you at Anthony's program as well. Of course, I know you can't be at all of them all at once, but between all of these and then there are all of those things that are happening on the weekend itself, right? The 1 hour programs, those are going to be recorded. Those are going to be available for purchase after the conference. And I don't know what the price is. I can't talk about anything like that, but I know that it's a pretty good deal. It's a regular company that we've used for years to arrange that. So,
and is the conference again being streamed this year, live streaming?
It is being streamed. Again, not the pre and post conference workshop.
Right. But if you can't make it to Daytona Beach, and why wouldn't you make it to Daytona Beach? But if you couldn't, you can stay in the cold that you are in now and stream it and join us through the streaming event.
Yeah, and by the way, just get in a bathtub or something so that you can splash around every once in a while and have a monitor so that you can look at the conference while you're doing that.
And turn off your camera. Make sure the camera is. Yeah. If you're in the tub, make sure the camera's off.
And in the evening, be sure and make yourself a margarita and give me a call.
That's right. That's right.
Just call the hotel and ask to be connected to the bar.
And so Michael was showing us, I've just flipped to gallery view, and Michael was showing us that he even has his own plant. If he's going to stream, he's got his little sort of if you've got it on gallery view, you'll be able to see him with his little palm plant right there as well.
Oh, wait. Hold it up, Mike. Hold it up.
Michael, back up. He didn't see it.
I've got you on the screen for the recording, so we'll know what she's talking about. There you go. It is. You are ready. You are equipped for Florida.
You need an umbrella drink, and then you're all set.
Great. All right, everyone. So do you believe, Karen, that it is already after 10 o'clock?
It was a quick night, wasn't it?
It was.
It's a little bittersweet because this has been so much fun hanging out with everybody. And of course, we want to do it again in Daytona Beach. And we do it every second Tuesday on the virtual chapter. So be sure you join us there. But it's been fun, and I look forward to it. I hope that I'm invited back to co-host with you again next year, Michael. I've loved it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much for helping out. It's been lovely having you here. You have been an incredible support. You were able to cover a couple of times when I wasn't able to be here.
And by this time next year, if I have to cover for you again, I will have this whole video thing down pat, so we won't get the whole Brady Bunch view or get all the technical glitches. I'm getting it. I'm really getting it.
Well, I think you're doing great, and you're a great partner in the class that we're doing together, and that's working out really well. So, hey, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So everybody, it has been lovely. As Karen said, join us at the virtual chapter. If you don't know how to find that, go on Facebook. And in the little box where you search for people's names and for groups and stuff like that at the top of Facebook, now not all the way back in your browser again, you don't want to go to Google, but right in the Facebook app, you can type in virtual chapter and it'll give you a list of groups and things that have the name that you've typed in there. And there you will see Karen and my smiling face attached to a label for the virtual chapter. You can just click there and join. You do have to be approved to join. We tend to be very welcoming, so trust me, unless you've done something I can't imagine what you might have done, we will let you join the group.
I think we're only trying to screen out Russian bots. I think that's all we're trying to do.
I think that's exactly what we were trying to do. So,
we want to see you here.
Beg your pardon?
I said we want to see you here.
We want to see you here. The Power of You, May 18th, 19th, and 20th, Daytona Beach, Florida, with pre- and post-conference programs by some of the most remarkable presenters on the planet. So we're really looking forward to it. We hope you're really looking forward to it as well. And we will see you there. Thanks a lot, everybody. Now we're going to open up the microphones again because we want to be able to say goodbye to all of y'all. So we're doing that now. And take care. Have a good flight.
Hanging out. Good night.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Good night, everybody.
Michael, Karen, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a real pleasure.
Bye. Bye-bye.